All right, so I created a new segment for the show. It's called the Mammy segment. Yes.
Who
And
are we putting in
so
first?
okay,
First honoree,
the first honoree is Jasmine Crockett.
Rocket, JG. How fitting, my dear.
JC
How
Crockett.
fitting, JC.
So she is calling Trump an enemy to the United States. I'm gonna play this clip.
And as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. He swore an oath just like the rest of us. But right now, when you are literally putting us at risk, all because of what? Because you want to convince your followers that you should be a dictator too, that you should never leave the White House because you don't believe that elections should take place. I don't really understand what is going on. And I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up. We are not living in a safe country when we decide that.
Stop a second. When did Trump ever say he has an intention of being dictator for life and never leaving the White House? Did he ever say that? No. So she's lying. She's part of this fascist little cabal here. Next thing is the majority of the country seems to side with him. Meanwhile, it's now coming out the fascist things that they were trying to do. Oh, misinformation, false information. We must restrict it. Restriction of free speech. We must take search and seizure as a relative thing because sometimes we must. Okay, freedom of speech shall not be absolute. Oh, what is the other one? The Fifth Amendment. Due process of law is so inconvenient. So what exactly is this fool talking about except running her ignorant young mouth off? She's a fool. Now, if you want to see why a lot of people support Donald Trump, you're looking at one of them. So why does her particular verbiage direct itself not toward, I may disagree with what you're saying, but I'll defend your right to say it. She's trying to restrict it, which is fascism. Those are quotation marks.
All right, I'm gonna finish playing it.
That we are going to weaken our national security by getting rid of those that are watching our nuclear stockpile, by giving everything over to a private friend known as Elon Musk. We are getting rid of all of the inspector generals. And so there's literally a lack of checks and balances all around us. And then we have
Second, fact check. That is a lie. Nobody's getting rid of the inspector generals. That's just a flat out lie, but it's her right to say it. But I'm pointing that out because the lie told long enough, loud enough can get anybody to believe it, including the liar. And I guess this liar believes it. So anyway, if she does, right now it's because of her ignorance, which says, look at it, watch it, it's huge. Name the program or the executive order to get rid of the inspector generals as a category rather than surplus. So, okay, fine. Now let's go fact check.
have somebody who's sending his vice president out to offend our allies in Europe.
She wants to support this Nazi, Zelensky. So what is she talking about? Offending our allies in Europe? Her hench bitch, oh, excuse me, did I say that? The hyena witch that they sent over there to insult everybody with a drunken word salad is supposed to be exemplary? No, it's not.
So here's another clip. She's talking about, I guess, Musk and
as it relates to X, he has never made a profit since he bought X. In fact, the value of X is 75% lower than it has ever been. So if I am going to go look for somebody to run a business, I'm going to look for someone who is going to run one successfully. And before people start screaming and yelling about, well, he's a billionaire. Yeah, when you know the right people and they'll just give you money, then you can become a billionaire too.
Stop.
And maybe one day all of us will have that kind of access. But until then.
That is so ultimately stupid and ignorant. And then she's forgetting he ran PayPal. I bet she uses it. Then, of course, there's Tesla, and I bet a whole lot of people are driving these Teslas. In fact, I see a lot of them on the roadway. There is the most powerful rocket ever made by man that, by the way, can come back and land like old-time 1950 sci-fi spaceships on the tail. The Defense Department wants him to do 20 exploratory launches for upgrading their ICBMs. He's the one that's got Starship that can carry 200 people to the moon or Mars. Oh, and he's setting up a plant right here in Memphis, 85,000 square feet, to make the most advanced AI computers in the world. So, okay, all of this is fake. So she's just an ignorant flim-flam mammy. Oh, and she must be a very exceptional person when it comes to the qualification. Remember what I said? They first become successful bed wenches and then they get made mammies. So she must have been a very successful bed wench for somebody.
For her white donors, you know, George Soros.
Soros bought him another little wenchlet mammy, like he did Kamala.
She had some Silicon Valley tech people when she was first running crypto.
Yeah, naturally. So bought him another little mammy witch.
Well, there are more mammies, and they don't always have to be black. So I was just briefly, when you was reconnecting, I was talking about this Boston mayor. So it says here, Mayor Michelle Wu just went on television offering condolences to the victims of the attacker. It was a knife wielding attacker who tried to kill multiple people in Boston, but an off-duty police officer, who's the hero, prevented that from happening and ended up killing the attacker. She goes on a press conference here, and I'm about to play this clip, giving her condolences to the criminal.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Of the individual whose life has been lost. That was the man who was trying to actually kill innocent people.
Okay, what you expect? The mammies are generally stupid. It's
well, okay, and so here.
All right, I mean, let's put it this way.
This is the mammy segment. We have another mammy here.
Wait a minute. It would be funny if this was Saturday Night Live. Unfortunately, it's not.
Okay.
SNL.
So here's AOC, because you know she got in trouble.
AOC is another idiot.
She got in trouble for hosting some type of Zoom meeting to educate illegals on how to evade ICE.
Title 8.
So this is
1324 United States criminal codes. That's a violation to do that. That is a conspiracy amongst other things, and it carries, I think, in her situation, a 10-year cap.
Well, so, they are investigating her. They are. Congress is.
They ought to lock her dumb ass up.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents of their constitutional protections, and in particular, their constitutional protections against illegal search and seizure in the United States.
Illegal search.
Holman was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Were you?
I was giving advice to all of my constituents.
Advice, yeah. She said it, unauthorized practice of law. She didn't just give advisement as to what she thought the law was. That's her First Amendment privilege, but she was trying to give them advice as to what to do. That constitutes aiding and abetting, advocating the violation of the law. Section 8,
He said he was going
excuse me, Chapter 8, Section 1324 of the United States Criminal Codes.
to report you, or even that he did reach out to the Department of Justice. Have you heard from the Department of Justice?
I have not, and I intend on reaching out to the Department of Justice to inquire.
Really? What would your question be for the Department of Justice?
Well, there is a member of the Trump administration who is threatening and seeks to open an inquiry. And are you going to do it?
What would you learn? What do you hope to learn from that exchange?
I think it's important to know where this administration stands and if they intend on using political intimidation to silence their critics.
You
Oh, wasn't this the heifer that was so enthused about the 34 felony convictions coming out of New York with Bragg? Oh, yes. It's interesting how the goose doth thrash
Well,
when the sauce gets applied.
you heard her last part, and that's the problem I have, because your job is to represent your constituents in this nation, not to be an adversary to who's in the White House.
Well, you can be an adversary to who's in the White House. That's your business. That's First Amendment. However,
For a sitting
look at the-
congressperson?
but however, especially congressional representatives, they can say anything they want to, as long as it's not advocating the violation of the law. Now, that becomes another thing. She's advocating violation of the law. But here's the thing. Under the Constitution, if she said it during debate or in the House or on the way to and from the House, she's immune. But she didn't say it in any of those conditions. She said it when she was static, holding something that had nothing to do with being in transit from district to House or on the floor. So while we whoopee, she broke the law.
So
Go get her.
should she go to the DOJ herself, or should she just not say anything?
Well, she needs to keep her mouth shut when she starts saying stuff like, you need to go break the law. Here's how you can defeat ICE. Here's how you can do what? Hide the fugitive, protect the fugitive from apprehension, detention. You can house the fugitive, feed the fugitive, shelter the fugitive. You can harbor the fugitive. All of those are criminal offenses. And I used to have some clients way back when that I defended on the charge of harboring a federal fugitive.